What can you say about this? This is your world. I don't know if is this even talked about over there with the whole story of Justin Trudeau's, related to Castro, because years ago. So this is a picture of them three. That's his mother, that's him, that's the father. But then you put Justin right next to Castro. Can you go back to the other picture on Twitter? Yeah, that one right there.
Looks eerily similar.
Yeah, is this even a conversation in Canada? Is anybody even telling? Because this is written about many, many different places to the point where they tweeted about it. And
it's mean-spirited speculation on the part in relationship to the behavior of Trudeau's mother.
Justin Trudeau and the Canadian government are turning more tyrannical, folks. The cold way up there in the Great White North must be freezing their minds. The nonviolent freedom convoy, the truckers, and other protesters fed up with Ottawa's excessive COVID mandates have now become Canada's public enemy number one. Court orders and an unconstitutional decree by Trudeau, the taking of powers that only really belong to the Canadian Parliament, have dampened the protests for now.
I mean, they have a tyrant now. I mean, like Justin Trudeau is actually a tyrant. I mean, the fact that he's not only arresting people for speaking their mind and sticking up for themselves, considering they carried us through the pandemic. These truckers were the ones, when we had all those shortages of supplies, they were the ones delivering the toilet paper, for example, that this country was at a loss for.
Trudeau played footsie with Castro in a way that was rather unique in the Western world, and I think that was that was not a good decision. He was less stringent in drawing a line between the left and the radical communist left than he might have been, and so those chickens have come home to roost in some sense in terms of this assault on his son.
Yeah, those guys. They were once cheered as heroes at the height of the pandemic. Now suddenly the Canadian government considers them to be criminals. How quickly the tide turns when people actually stand up to autocratic orders. One of the most egregious actions came this week when a Canadian court froze $9.5 million in Freedom Convoy assets raised through Give, Send, Go. That's a Christian-owned crowdfunding platform used by the truckers. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems to me a Canadian court has no legal right to block the assets of an American company operating in the USA.
It's turning into a full-scale crackdown in Canada. This is a live picture in Ottawa of protesters facing off with police. Police are arresting 2 leaders of the Freedom Convoy. They did that just last night, and they're moving in to make more arrests today, just as banks began to freeze the accounts of those linked to demonstrations on orders from Canada's Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. And now, donors to the Freedom Convoy are facing harassment after a data breach on crowdfunding site revealed their names.
That they're actually threatening owners of animals, that if you, in fact, a government that will kill your dog for simply disobeying their order. If you are unable to care for your pet, we will take your pet away at your expense for a week. And if you don't come back and claim it, they're going to basically kill your dog.
We have been called terrorist for the first 36 hours. We were inundated with hatred, with threats of violence. People threatened our team on the phone, telling them we're coming to get you. We're going to throw bricks through your window. You'll pay for this, you Nazi supporter. I personally have been called a disgusting pig of a woman and that I should rot in hell.
I saw a tweet like this last week. This is from the Ottawa police, and they're tweeting, anyone attempting to bring material support like gas, just supplies to these guys, could be subject to arrest. I mean, this is a very scary government in Canada. It's almost autocratic, it feels.
It's government-sanctioned euthanasia, essentially, is what we're listening to. So take a look at what the government put out. This disgusting, callous, frankly, evil policy, especially in conjunction with the image Ottawa used of that little puppy. This is a truly nauseating display, and frankly, it conveys the heartless disregard for their community, right? Their citizens. So obviously, uproar has rightly ensued, with many notables weighing in. For example, Congressman Jeremy Faison tweeting out that a government that will kill your dog for simply disobeying their orders on a public demonstration will eventually have no issue killing you for the same. Trudeau is a fool and a tyrant. Former Senator Orrin Hatch weighing in also, he said, "We are taking away your puppies is a great way to show you that we no longer worry about the optics of this crackdown.
This is about keeping Canadians safe, protecting their communities and neighborhoods, and ensuring the jobs and our economy.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to interrupt the Right Honourable Prime Minister. I'm trying to hear the answer, and I'm having a very difficult time. There's some shouting going on.
This is a time for responsible leadership, not crass partisanship. The situation requires additional tools not held by other federal...
We stand on guard for thee. God keep our land.